What's up, guys? So I'm in the gym. I'm hitting a push workout again. I have a 2x6 on bench press. I'm kind of waiting for my friend Matt, but he is literally 30 minutes late, as usual. So I'm just going to get started on this set without him. Sucks to suck, but I have 260 on the bar, so 5 pounds up from what I did earlier than the week. Gains, progressive overload, one-on-one. Still do this 45-25 build up.
Yeah, nice and easy.
Nice and easy, nice and slow. See, I like to be reckless, and I just slam on 45, 25, 25.
I'm not strong enough for that yet.
No, I think you're just more responsible with your joints and your tendons and your ligaments than I am.
Let's see, because this would be what? This would be about.
You want to tell them about your power lifting meet?
This is about 63%
that you just did?
of the max. It was good. It was a miracle that it even came together at all. I feel like all my injuries recovered or healed just in time to get like somewhat of a decent performance.
You're basically like that guy from SpongeBob who says, "I have plastic arms and plastic legs. Everything's made out of plastic."
Wait, how? I don't know the reference.
You're just like you have all just random tweaks that come up.
Oh, I know, dude.
And they're massively inconvenient.
I know. It's very.
Okay, let's see your bench form.
I actually narrowed my grip.
You narrowed your grip? Well, let's see it.
I did.
I'm interested.
All right, give me a second.
Nice pause. Fully lock the elbows though.
What with my elbows?
Fully lock them. I want your elbows fully erect.
Wait, do what with my elbows?
Fully lock them out.
Why
Full extension.
fully lock them out?
Just because you have to fully lock them out for it to be erect.
Oh. Yeah, I'm warming up, dude.
Introduce yourself to the people. Name,
My name is Andrew.
motives, desires in life.
VPs on Instagram.
Follow him. He's been running programming for a while. He's getting large. He's on the Pulp train. Dude, when you diet down, it's gonna be like slowly unwrapping this
I can't wait.
present because you probably feel all sloppy. You probably hate food. They probably just want to get lean.
Bro.
It's an investment though.
Yeah.
For a bit.
For sure.
Plus, you're naturally lean.
Scratching my leg.
Candid Andrew. This is Andrew. Follow him on Instagram. I'll put your handle on the screen right now.
Right here. Follow me
Right,
here.
right there. Right, or right there. I don't know if it was.
Right there?
It'll be a surprise. You have to watch my video. Right. So
That looked bouncy. It didn't?
nope.
It always.
Yeah, well, that's because. Yeah, so what happens when you're doing touch and go is you're basically using your muscle spindles. There's something in your body, in each muscle, that has it basically measures change in length. And what muscle spindles do is if you have like, it's like you know how if you have like somebody just put like a ton of books in your hand, automatically your muscle is going to contract. It senses that change in length. It's going to contract like your biceps or like hold it up. That's basically what you're doing when you're bouncing off your chest. So
You're not necessarily bouncing,
you're just using
what do you call it,
in-
retracting really quickly.
You're just using the stretch action of the muscle. The muscles are elastic.
What do you call
Some 85s, I like it. Matt, how was the workout?
It was good, man.
Good, solid chitty pump.
I got 405 on the flat for
405.
7.
You just didn't see it.
Yeah.
He didn't want to show off.
I misloaded it. I thought
he's
it was,
a humble,
I thought it was
honest man.
225, and it just sort of happened, man. I don't know.
It happens.
Yeah.
But you have school starting on Monday, so we're going to get back to that grind. But we got a good pump in. Yeah, we don't, like, Matt and I don't really see each other super often, but we live together like...
It's a long distance relationship.
It's a long distance.
But we make it work.
We can make it work, whatever happens. But we were actually in the same, do you call it, like,
Same
dorm?
hall?
Same
Same
hall in the dorms freshman year. And he lifted with me when I was starting as a wee sapling. And now I've grown into a moderately large sapling. That was a terrible metaphor, I apologize. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna stop the clip, but yeah, we had a good lift. This is Matt. Follow him up with his social on the screen.
Promise.
He's a mediocre powerlifter.
I'm a mediocre powerlifter. I'm a medium powerlifter.
But he's very handsome, so you should follow him. Okay,
Very
bye.
much.
Hey guys, so I wanted to kind of end this video. First off, I am back at my apartment now just because the semester starts on Monday, so I kind of wanted to get back down and situated before it started. But I wanted to end this video kind of talking about like my top tips for people who want to gain muscle mass and size. So the first thing is pretty obvious, like you need to be in a calorie surplus. So basically what that means is you have your maintenance calorie intake, which is defined as the minimum level of calories that we need to maintain our body weight. And that's variable on everybody based on genetics, amount of like body composition. Muscle mass burns more calories than fat does because muscle has something called tetanus. So it is always slightly contracting per unit time. So it has a higher oxygen demand and therefore a metabolic demand than fat tissue does, which is literally just sitting there. It's just an energy store. Higher activity levels during the day, so walking around more, fidgeting more, etc. But basically you need to find where your calorie maintenance is and then add, anywhere from 200 to up to 500 calories above that would be my recommendation. I would recommend that for beginners, I would just like you're in your first year of training, I would do a bare like 500 calorie surplus. And so the reason why I say that is because you have such a huge potential to gain muscle in those first years. Trying to keep it as lean as possible is not the goal, okay? During the first year, you can gain a lot of muscle, like 20 to 30 pounds, depending on your genetics and depending on how you train, your quality of sleep. Is so many different things, but you want to maximize that first year of training because that's where you're going to gain the most muscle mass. And as you get further on in training, I would basically past year one, I recommend that most people stay within a 200 to 300 calorie surplus, just because the gains are that you can actually make that are lean tissue are significantly lower, just because your body will have already added muscle mass a lot, and your body just can't keep adding muscle mass because your body has different physiological things that basically inhibit your body's ability to really get too jacked. Like that's basically what it is. Your body's saying like, slow down kid, like you're getting too jacked, like we can't keep up with you, like just because your body wants to move and doesn't really want to change. It likes staying in one spot. So that's number one, be in a calorie surplus. For how long would I recommend? Really as long as possible until you get uncomfortably fat, and then go in a calorie deficit, shed it, and then rinse and repeat. The biggest thing that a lot of people need to realize is that people like myself and Quinn, we spend most of our time trying to get bigger. We don't spend much time cutting. I think over the past 3 years, I've spent a maximum amount of about 6 months cutting. And the longest one was last year, which was like 3 months. And like you just spend most of your time gaining size, because you got to remember, like, this is bodybuilding. You want to actually spend time building that physique, because all that cutting does is it's going to just reveal what you've put on with a muscle mass. And so just spend time, focus on the goal. Realize that it is a long-term investment and that it will pay off substantially in the long term. Don't dirty bulk. Basically everybody regrets dirty bulking. But if you keep within the calorie surplus confines that I set and that I gave you, that is going to be, you know, basically awesome. And I would recommend shooting to gain about, you know, 0.5% per week once you're past year 1, and about 1% per week when you are a beginner of body weights. So weigh yourself on the scale every single day, take a median weight of 7 days, and then retract that, and then make adjustments as needed. And then the second tip I have is to make sure that you are sleeping enough, okay? So we need to make sure that we are sleeping enough, because sleep is basically the foundation upon which every other physiological process occurs, literally. Like, if you don't sleep enough, it's basically like you're driving drunk all the time. And especially important with training, when we are breaking down tissue consistently, we need to make sure that we are sleeping and allocating enough resources to recovery. Remember, we are growing outside of the gym, and sleep is where our bodies are recovering the most. That's when our body's parasympathetic nervous systems, which is basically our relax mode for our body, is at its highest. Your body is able to repair. We don't know as much about sleep right now. The evidence is ongoing, but just know that it's extremely important. If you are not sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night, you are leaving gains on the table. There have been studies that have shown that you have better body composition outcomes with more sleep. So prioritize it. Make sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Experiment with that range. See what you feel best on and what you personally need, and try to get that pretty consistently. You're going to have a much better chance of, you know, body composition outcomes that you want, which is muscle gain. And then another one that I have is, when you're in the gym, I would recommend not overdoing volume. A lot of people tend to overdo volume, and then they can't recover for it. So we have something called a maximum recoverable volume, and there's a systemic maximum recoverable volume, basically everything our body can recover from. And so we basically want to stay within those ranges of, you know, where we can actually recover and adapt from, because that's how we get better. That's how we get, you know, stronger, and we actually can add volume and progressively overload and create that stimulus for growth. Remember that the gym is, and our training is much more important in a calorie surplus when we're trying to build muscle than in any other phase, because training is literally the stimulus for that muscle to actually be built. If you're not training, you're really just going to put on excess fat if you're not resistance training. And then nutrition is basically the calorie surplus, will help facilitate recovery, allow you to do slightly higher volumes than you would be if you were isocaloric at maintenance or in a deficit. So make sure that you are staying within, I would say, about 10 to 20 sets per week for most muscle groups, and then make sure that you're training hard enough as well. So use RPEs, use a relative intensity scale. Your training mesocycles cycles should be within the 6 to 10 RPE range, which basically means you will have 4 to 0 reps in reserve. RPE 6 is 4 reps, 7, 3 reps in reserve, RPE 8, 2 reps in reserve, RPE 9, 1 rep in reserve, RPE 10, 0 reps in reserve. And something else I really want to point out about that, RPE 7, like if you look on a scale, like a sports science scale that actually says like objectively what RPE means with the word, a 7 means hard, okay? So, and then a 6 kind of just means like challenging, like, oh yeah, I had maybe had a little like rep slowdown. But basically, if you're going to like RPE 7, that's still training hard. RPE 8 is very hard. RPE 9 is extremely hard, and RPE 10 is, you know, basically like just maximal effort. So make sure that you are training within that range most of the time, with the exception of deload weeks. Going off of that too, just make sure that you're managing your stress. Make sure that you are taking deloads when you are training. You know, once every 4 to 6 weeks of training, you're taking a period of lower volume. I have a video on my channel. You guys can watch that all about deloads. Make sure that you are, you know, take time to relax, take time to sit down with your friends and family. Go on, like, do something that just makes you relax. Like, it's not that hard. If it stresses you out, you're not relaxing, okay? So take time for that. It's really important. And then this last point I want to make here, which is arguably the most important point, is people need to spend more time doing specific blocks aimed at each goal, and in particular hypertrophy, okay? So, and get stronger in those higher rep ranges. So the reason why power building is not a great approach to training in general is because we basically have a very, very, very finite ability to adapt to our training, okay? And so when we are trying to get better at everything, there is some overlap between each goal, but because we only have a finite ability to adapt due to differences with physiology, like down to the muscle cell, with differences between type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers, with if you're doing more high reps and you're doing more like hypertrophy style training, you're probably going to recruit more of those muscle fibers, and then you're going to have more muscular changes. And then if you're trying to also do strength training, you're going to also be, you know, using those type 2 muscle fibers that are already being taxed highly in that high rep training, and you're not going to see as many adaptations as you would if you were just focusing on one quality. Because think about it, if you have like 200 points for like recovery, like you can actually do, if you're spending all that with hypertrophy, and like then you're also trying to add strength on top of that, you're not going to adapt as efficiently as you would, because you only have 200 points of recovery. If you go above that, you know, it's not best. And then with competing differences in physiology, it's just not going to happen as well as we want to. If you're trying to build muscle, it makes sense to try to get stronger in higher rep ranges. So within the 6 to 12 rep range with hypertrophy, spend most of your training time in those periods. We have a client, Ahon, I'll pop him up on the screen like right here, but he, for his year-long transformation, he gained 75 pounds. It's on all lean tissue. It's going through puberty. He got taller, but it's still a noticeable difference with muscle. Ahon spent a total of like 4 months doing actual legit strength training, and then his 8 months doing that hypertrophy, okay? But he was still getting stronger, okay? I think a lot of people, when they hear me say hypertrophy mesocycles, or they hear that, they think, oh, I'm not going to get stronger. You won't improve your 1 rep max strength as much, just because that's not the main goal. But because we're using phase potentiated structures, where we are kind of doing this leapfrog action up and up, where, okay, hypertrophy, 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 strength, kind of match and catch up to that muscle gain, because if we have a bigger muscle fiber, we have more production, we have more potential for force production, for strength, because the cross-sectional area is directly proportional to how much strength that a muscle can produce. It's like if you look at somebody who's skinny, 135 pounds, trying to bench 315, you kind of are going to laugh at them if they load it up on the barbell and they're trying to bounce it off and then try to press it off of their chest. Because we all know, okay, if somebody's bigger, they probably are stronger. It's basically what, like, we know that inherently. But if we are, like, you want to kind of spend most of that time with hypertrophy, get stronger in those higher rep ranges. When you come back to those strength phases, you will also be able to get stronger because you are now bigger. So spend most of your time in hypertrophy and implement those strength mesocycles and those strength phases really only when you need to. After you spent a good 3-4 months in hypertrophy training as a beginner, building that solid foundation, and then you can be like, okay, well, I want something different, and it's probably best to, because I know I'm using a phase potentiated structure, I'm going to add a strength phase and realize those strength gains that I have made with all the muscle. Okay, so I know this is kind of a long clip, but this is my biggest advice for anybody who wants to maximize hypertrophy, and my top bulking tips, just in general. So I hope that you guys like the video. I think I'm going to close it out here, but make sure to like, share, subscribe, share it with your dog, show your mom it, you know, all the good stuff. Follow me on Instagram, social media. If you guys want coaching, link down below, shoot me a DM. I'm out.